Hey everyone, welcome back. Ballet Hispánico is celebrating 50 years of dance and inclusion with their new production, Doña Perón, a full-length presentation about Evita Perón, one of the most recognizable and controversial women in Argentinian history, who rose from the ranks of a dancehall performer to Argentina's first lady. Let's take a sneak peek of Doña Perón. Here to share more on the production, Doña Perón and Ballet Hispánico, a dance company celebrating 50 years of bringing communities together to celebrate and explore Latinx cultures through innovative dance production. Please welcome Artistic Director and CEO of Ballet Hispánico, Eduardo Vilaro. Hola.
Hola, 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 Rhina. Always a pleasure to be here with you.
Oh my gosh, thank you for making the time, because I know you guys are in the trenches and preparing for your opening night. This is amazing. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. It's a very exciting production. And actually, we've been on the road with it. We've been doing previews in New Orleans, Chicago, and Detroit. So not only are we starting to get ready for City Center, we are exhausted doing so. That's a lot, right?
Right. No, I wasn't unaware that you were already touring it, but I do know that I've been watching you guys prepare for your City Center production. And I gotta say, this is like a big deal, especially coming out of the pandemic. I mean, you really went all out.
Well, you know, part of it is that we wanted to make sure that everyone understood that we're back. Dance is back, the arts are back. And a Latinx dance organization is certainly back. We're not waiting for anybody because we know that representation matters. And that's why this piece is so wonderful. This is a work by a Latina for a Latina. And it is really about reawakening this call that happened during the social justice movement, which is still happening, not during, still happening.
Right.
Different narratives. Well, that's what Ballet Hispánico is here for. We reclaim our stories. We don't need another Andrew Lloyd Webber, though he's wonderful. We don't need another white man telling our stories.
You know what I love about the way you choose your productions and the way you choose to tell stories is that it's fused, but more so than anything is that you also dive into the intersectionality within the Latinx community. And I think that's the conversation that we need to be having more of.
Yeah, I'm so with you. I'm all about the intersectionality of our Latin community, which sometimes, you know, we tend to just ignore and put it on the side, you know, but that's been what has happened throughout the centuries, and we've got to stop that. And so we are not afraid of going out and showing that, demonstrating the fullness of what that means in intersectionality with our Afro-Latinidad, with our Asian Latinidad, with our Indigenous Latinidad. There's so much there. And so when we mount something together, we are intentional about doing that and thinking about that.
And so, speaking of intentionality, you know, I noticed that the lead dancer is an Afro-Latina, while Evita Perón is Argentinian, and you have Anabel Lopez Ochoa actually choreographing this whole big production. And I understand it's her first evening length work. And so there's intentionality right there. Latina story, Latina lead, Latina choreographer, and then there's the reality that we are basically telling a story in a dance form that I think we've all been conditioned to see in a play.
Right.
Form.
Right. And so that is such a beautiful way of putting it. It is a new language to look at this story and this narrative. and it is a powerful language because it's a corporal language. So you need to sit through images more. You know, there's no, I'm assuming things, because language can make us assume a lot. So this language is really about that power of the inner voice. And I love how you frame that with an Afro-Latina as the lead. It's not because she's Afro-Latina, it's because she's fierce and she was the role. If we're going to continue to say that art is for everyone, then everyone could be on the stage. I mean, it's que paren con ese nonsense, right? Because quite frankly, I have been questioned about that from an audience member. And I'm like, why is the question even still being given? Don't give me that question. I'm not going to answer it because it's silly. It's an artist doing the work. But I think underneath the layer, what I love about it is that this story is really about women and the perseverance of women in a machoistic or a male-dominated world, and how she had to use her charm and wit. And yes, maybe it was she climbed up the ladder by being with this gentleman and then that one and then this one, but that's what women had at that time. Let's not negate it, let's talk about it, right? It's a different world now. We're not celebrating it, we're just saying this is what happened. But she turned out to be an icon and one of the most powerful politicians. She made Juan Perón who he was, which frightened him and delighted the populace. And as you say, it's so interesting about she was a controversial figure. Funny, what would have happened if she was a man?
Right.
At that time,
Right.
coming up from poverty, coming up
Right.
from that, you know, that wouldn't be in question.
Right. 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 Right.
So I think that the layers of a production like this for an organization like ours gives us the opportunity to start having these kinds of conversations and to start having people ask those questions. So I'm very excited. And then it's just a beautiful production. It is stunning.
It looks stunning. It looks stunning. And while I haven't seen it in the actual theater, just by what's been presented with, you know, your costume designer creating like over 80 costumes and having a composer, and it looks magnificent. It really does.
Yeah, I mean, you know, the beautiful thing about the costume design is that she was, you know, so enamored of haute couture. Everything was, I mean, she wore Chanel and I mean, she really dressed. That gave her a sense of belonging. And even what you'll see in this work, that even she was beautifully dressed, her imposter syndrome was real, which is real for all of us, for all marginalized people. You get to power and you'll see how the choreographer manages that. It's very interesting because that's a real thing that we face when we gain power.
Yeah, and I think the reality of it in whatever artistic form, to present us with just the opportunity to really address that about ourselves. I mean, I think in this particular time, there's been a lot of reflecting going on. So to be able to see it in a performance and in a story that we've all heard of and or have seen in other renditions, to see it in this form that could almost be considered abstract, right? Because it's the body communicating.
That's right. That's right.
Right?
It's the body communicating. And there is an abstraction because you've removed the verbal language that we all know, but then it opens up so much more possibility because you're dealing, just like you see a piece of artwork or visual arts, you're dealing with shape, form, color, and all of that melds together. And it's, you know, it's why I love dance. It is my own language.
I know it's your language and you do it so well. And really you represent us so well in this whole production. It's so exciting. And I'm so excited for you to really come out with a bang, even though you've been touring with it. I mean, at least here in New York, because in New York is going to be presented at New York City Center. And so you're going to be running 2 nights, right? 3 nights, excuse me, right? First to the third. And, and so what do you really want people to leave with in executing this on such a big scale?
I want them to leave with the possibility of a Latino arts organization being able to do something as bold and excellent as this. That we are not removed only to the ay que lindo, look at the little Latin dance company. That we are not only thought of as you need to do these cultural things. What this work does, it's like it's such on a big scale that like a huge ballet company would do. That's what we are. That is our voice. That's who we are. We are one of America's cultural treasures, and we deserve the kind of platform like being at City Center that all other ballet companies deserve.
Yeah, I know. I've certainly enjoyed you at the Joyce, so I know. I've experienced it firsthand, and the fact that you are also telling our stories, I think, also should be celebrated as well.
Thank you.
No, thank you. Thank you, Eduardo Vilaro. Thank you for making the time. Once again, Artistic Director and CEO of Ballet Hispánico, and they are presenting Doña Perón, which premieres tonight, April 1st, and it's running through April 3rd. That's happening at the New York City Center, located at 131 West 55th Street in Manhattan. And for more information, you can visit ballethispanico.org and on social media at Ballet Hispánico. We do have to take a quick break, but when we return, we'll hear about the timeless magic, of Selena coming to Lehman Center for the Performing Arts. You don't want to miss. Don't go anywhere.